originally in Spanish, July 2023. What is artificial synthetic telepathy exactly? How is it generated? It is generated using microwaves of the mind's frequency range. And there is already technology available that can match what it is like to have a real experience through artificial frequencies. And with that, implant false memories in people's minds. This is used a lot by the Cabal to influence and control multitudes of people using the networks of cellular antennas. From space, this is forbidden by the Federation and its Prime Directive. That is, only they can use it through their terrestrial Cabal. But how do they actually send messages with that? Will people hear voices, or is it like feelings? Voices in your head, ideas, feelings, everything can be transmitted artificially.
And are all humans compatible at the level of those frequencies? Or are humans in one range of frequencies and the Cabal launch in that whole range of frequencies?
Good question. Not everyone is completely compatible. It depends on everyone's frequency, and each person will be different. However, there is a range of frequencies in common that affect everyone, human, Lyrian, and whoever. So, what exactly is the process? How do they do it? Do they enter sentences in their computer and then send? Yes, it's as simple as that. Of course, the system is already built before, meaning they already know and they already have pre-programmed the collective frequencies that they will use, the ones that are common to many people. But the ones that are specific to one person are more difficult to obtain because they need that person's data. However, what they can do is to focus the transmission to where the person they want to affect is located, just as with an online transmission beam, short and focused. But do they send frequencies or complete sentences? That is, how do they send exact phrases that will be received by a person? And if it is synthetic telepathy and with nobody real outside, the person will receive it as his own thought? It will not be a dialogue with someone? That's right. The process is to enter the message by typing it into a computer and then send it to the person or persons they wish to affect. This was used extensively at the Berkeley University campus in California.
Just like that? By typing?
Just like that, yes. The Cabal has that technology, and they use it to create riots in cities or to calm the riots as well. This is the cause or how they affect people who are called targeted persons. Yes, but that's kind of generic then, not exact phrases. Only as waves of concepts, desires, feelings, etc., no? Both. Generic feelings or concepts or complete sentences with voice to skull, as they say, which is hearing voices inside your head.
And that's why they want people in the cities.
One of the reasons, yes. But you won't receive it as a dialogue, will you? You'll interpret it as your own, as they wish, either as ideas that the person interprets as theirs, or as voices that the person knows are not theirs. You will interpret it as the sender commands. Anything is possible. Wow, even this can be programmed? How the receiver receives it? Yes, This technology is already very advanced. And the ugly thing is that the Cabal has it and uses it all the time. There are reports of strange behaviors in people in concerts. Lately, those reports of the use of synthetic telepathy occurred in Mexico. They controlled the reactions of the audience by activating a pre-established pattern of frequency dynamics that they have already studied. Everyone started behaving very strangely, and then they kind of turned people off, like with a switch, and everybody calmed down and left in an orderly fashion. That was twice. Very strange, they say. Everybody synchronized and moving unnaturally, like possessed. To me, these are experiments they do to perfect the system. But when you receive the message, can you give it an identity as a message from ARIEN? As long as the context does not conflict with the message, yes. What do you mean? I mean, they can't control what identity the receiver is going to attach that message to. Or can they? The exact way the receiver will identify it, they can't control it all. Especially if the person is already aware that they are being transmitted that kind of thing. And why do it with technology if they can do it naturally? I mean, sending mental telepathic messages. Is it stronger with technology or why? To begin with, on Earth the Cabal doesn't have that kind of telepathy, generalizing. Besides, it's easier to just use the device.
That's why so many of those towers have been installed.
Indeed, it has to do with it. Sending messages naturally requires mental effort? Yes, it gets tiring after a while. It's like concentrating too much on something. Here, synthetic telepathy is used as communication between a ship's computer and its pilot. But we know what it is. Who sends to whom? Pilot sends messages to the ship, but the ship has no mind, so it can't be called synthetic telepathy. It is simply giving instructions to the ship's computer, no? It's all pure technology. It's like me sending orders to my TV with the remote control. It's not telepathy. It is called this way because the ship transmits its messages using this technology. And the ship also receives your telepathic commands. It's just an interface system with the pilot. And the pilot receives it mentally? Yes. And he gives instructions to the ship by thinking. All ships have that. But it wouldn't be synthetic telepathy then, would it? Because we have talked about synthetic telepathy, the one that is sent with technology. Synthetic telepathy as a term refers to how it is used on Earth. Here, call it whatever you want. It's a computer-mind interface, and that's it.
That's already in the fighters, I think.
The Generation 5 ones, yes. And how does the pilot receive it? As an exact phrase or feeling? Can he discern if it's his or the ship's? Mentally, as voice instructions in the head. You hear Betty in your head, not just through the headset. Betty is the name given to the computer and its voice in a fighter jet. Betty could tell you ultra-important messages, like, for example, altitude, altitude, elevate, elevate. Wow. Tina, a question. Something like this happened to me once. Can you tell me if it was a case of synthetic telepathy? Let's see. That was years ago. I lived in Costa Rica, so I was Gosha. I was in my room. My computer was on, but I didn't have any program or internet window open. Suddenly, I heard the young female voice saying, in English, translating from memory, It won't be long before we are together again. In fact, I was doing something in the room. I thought something came up on the computer, like some internet ad, but there was nothing. It was a very clear voice. It came out of the air, but I interpreted it as coming from my computer. It could be synthetic telepathy, yes. It could sound like a totally natural voice, or it could be something more paranormal, because that happens too. It only happened to me once. Besides, Gosha left in 2017. That happened in 2011. It would make sense that someone would be warning me or something. I didn't think much about it afterwards, but I remember it very well. And back on topic, what would be the difference in the receiver's experience between natural and synthetic telepathy? Synthetic telepathy is usually stronger or more invasive, like with more volume. It is very tiring to receive it, but it depends on the system. On Earth, they don't modulate that yet. So that is the only key to distinguish between natural and synthetic telepathy, because from then on, it can be experienced as exactly the same. Only in advanced systems, like the ones used here on the ships, like the Suzy or the Blackbird, that can be modulated. The volume in settings on the ship's control screen. And Tina, could you send us something just for fun? Like an experiment? One sentence. I can't. I have no way. I can't because, as I said above, the Federation classifies that as against the Prime Directive. We have this technology, but we don't usually use it. Besides, you would have to wait and move at the right line distance. The position of the Earth does influence it. And the microwave transmission is very easy to detect. I understand. And another question, can animals be sent synthetic telepathy? Having a localized microwave beam, yes. Same goes for you. You have to have line of sight for that, because it would be localized, not global.
Do you have to focus some kind of antenna on our location?
Yes, the system is directional, because it does not have the exact wavelengths of your brains. Otherwise, it would be received by everyone else there. And the Taigetans would never accept that, to send that, because that's something the Federation would know about. That's giving evidence, and according to them, it's against the Prime Directive. That's illegal. It is a strong rule or serious transgression against the Prime Directive. But you are rebels, aren't you? You're not so legal. You're not so legal either, but you are not going to go broadcasting things against the local government with a CB civilian wave radio that is easy to triangulate. I understand, and I know. And last question, quickly. Who gave that technology to the Cabal? It is not officially known, but surely the Federation through someone.